Welcome to BizBlend, where business brilliance comes to life. I am Rima, your guide on this journey from the boardroom to the front lines of innovation. Join us each week as we peel back the curtain on business strategies, tackle challenges head on, and unveil the hidden gems of success stories. Get set to fuel your entrepreneur fire and transform your business approach like never before. Hello and welcome, listeners, to BizBlend. This is your host, Rima, and today we are diving into business and marketing, but from a different perspective. We are joined by someone whose entrepreneurial journey is nothing short of extraordinary. Meet Simon Phillips. Simon Phillips went from being a millionaire at just 23 to losing it all, and then rising from the ashes to build an e commerce empire. Simon is the co founder of the Magnitude Group, a global marketing and logistics powerhouse with warehouses spanning across New Zealand, Australia, UK, Europe, US, and Canada. From the highs of early success to the lows of rebuilding after a crushing debt, Simon's story is one of grit, resilience, and the power of building a strong team, listeners. And today on BizBlend, we are going to unpack his journey, the lessons learned from his setbacks, and his strategies for scaling businesses profitably. So, buckle up because this conversation is packed with the insights that every entrepreneur, marketer, solopreneur, business owner, anyone, dreamer will want to hear. So, Simon,
Hmm.
welcome to the show, and it is an absolute honor to have you with us today.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That was a fantastic introduction. That was lovely. I,
Thank
I
you.
felt a little bit nervous doing that. I was like, oh my gosh, amazing. Thank you.
Well, Simon, your entrepreneurial journey, it's been such a roller coaster. What was the turning point for you that helped you bounce back from losing it all? Where generally I would have given up, anyone would have given up. And how did you build it all again?
Yeah. Okay. So it goes back to the why for me.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to give up. I probably would have given up on myself. I'm pretty sure. But that specific journey, so I had gotten my parents are amazing. I have the most supportive parents in the world. They'd actually mortgaged their home to give me the seed capital for my first business. We used that, we scaled, sold half, got a seven-figure payout. And then I proceeded to make a bunch of mistakes, destroy that business. Now, through that process,
Mm-hmm.
we spent all of the investment, but I also ran through all of the initial investment from my parents, which was a mortgage on their home. And so at that point when it was all kind of crashing down around me and I was in a lot of trouble, I'd been kicked out of my house, I broke up with my girlfriend, I'd sold the other half of the business, I was in debt, and I kind of had nothing, and I was really struggling. I was really considering. Well, I had deeply negative thoughts. I was considering ending it all. I wanted to pack a bag and leave the country. I wanted to go bankrupt. But what happened was, because the mortgage wasn't under my name, it was under my parents' names. I wasn't able to go bankrupt and avoid paying that debt. And
Mm-hmm.
so I remember I had many nights and days and mornings where I just kind of was like, well, I don't actually have a choice. Like you might be able to give up on yourself, but I couldn't give up on my parents
Yeah.
and their fucking family home after they'd done everything to support me. And so it was, I don't know, call it luck, call it destiny, God, the universe, whatever you believe in. Um, I I think I look back and I'm really grateful for that I didn't have the ability to tap out, and I had to. It just was binary for me. I had to pay my parents
Mm-hmm.
back, and at that early stage, I was like, "Cool, I'll pay my parents back, and then maybe I can just give up." Like that was the goal. Like just solve that problem and then you can give up. And so I wasn't able to do it for myself, but I had a strong enough why that was connected to other people that I loved deeply, and that carried me through it. And then funnily enough, when I built the business to pay them back, I was like, oh, well, I can do this. Oh, I'm back on the horse. But yeah, that's probably the strongest motivator. Is that at that stage, I lost my initial business. I destroyed it because of a lack of self love and an internal calibration,
Mhm.
and it was the unwillingness to let others down, people I truly cared about, that dragged me through the toughest time of my life.
Wow. I mean, this is such a unique, journey, especially
Mm.
from an entrepreneur's perspective, because the motivations, of course, are many, but also thinking about not to hurt your loved ones, especially your parents, and you have just either one or zero. You have just binary options. I think it's so going to be inspiring for all of our listeners to discover, to get to know more about your journey. That's incredible, Simon, what you have achieved, what you have done. So let's move on to a further discussion. Uh,
No, cool. And I think the lesson in it is design a why
uh,
and something powerful enough, magnetic enough to drag you through anything. And it was an accident that happened. And then in my second business, I still kind of went after the money, which was one of the problems in my first business. Is like once I got to the stage and I'd achieved like my monetary outcome,
mhm,
my I kind of fell apart. um, and then more recently, in my third go round, my third attempt, I've got a really clear vision of what my business or my opportunity vehicle needs to do for me and my future family. Like I've got my partner and I've got like we've got plans for kids and all that sort of stuff. So I think that purpose and that why extending beyond like simple financial gains
mhm.
is the key thing. It pushes you when times are good, even, but I think it's more important when times are bad.
True, that's true. It's the power of having that EQ in you, apart from IQ.
Yeah, cool.
So the magnitude group, it's now a global powerhouse. So
Mm.
logistics, I think it's one of the most crucial and difficult part of any e-commerce business or modern trade. How do you, or what's the secret sauce to manage, managing such a vast logistics and marketing network across multiple countries?
Yeah, wow. That so I can't take credit for the secret sauce. My particular secret sauce was finding the right partner. So
Yeah.
when I came out of that first business, I
Mm-hmm.
was basically a recovering drug addict,
Mm-hmm.
like guy that had lost everything. I met this guy, Brad Lindsay, who owned a 3PL. I was searching for 3PLs for an e-commerce client that I was helping scale. And then we got on. He became my mentor, took a lot of time and energy aside to invest in me. And I said to him, look, I'll give you half my agency if you help me build it. And he said, all right, sounds good. And he'd been in the logistics industry at that point for 30 years with his own business, Supply Chain Solutions, for about 19 years. And so we built the marketing agency Glass Elephant together. And then through that process, as we were scaling brands in the United States and in Canada and in Europe and the UK,
Mm-hmm.
our we were getting some pretty crazy results. Like we were taking brands from 100 grand a month to 2 or 3 million a month, and we were doing it in a year. And
Mm-hmm.
so we would consistently be let down by the 3PLs that we were working with. And so Brad and I decided, well, hey, like maybe we could launch this together. Now, to be really clear, it's his special sauce. I'm a minority shareholder in the logistics business, and I've learned a lot about it.
Uh-huh.
But um, yeah, for me personally, it was that partnership. It was that really awesome connection between like, well, I've got this revenue generation capability. You've got the supply chain capability, promise
Mm-hmm.
to deliver on promise. And it came together really uniquely in this one-stop shop for e-commerce brands. And so to actually manage a global 3PL,
Mhm.
I think a lot of logistics businesses or all businesses focus on technology, but
Mhm.
most businesses are people businesses and logistics are especially people
Yes.
businesses. So
Yes.
one of the things that Brad taught me was like when you're investigating a 3PL, what most guys will do is they'll go and have a look at the portal. You know, how fancy is your tech? What's your demand plan? They've got an amazing salesperson. The website's clean. You're feeling really great about it. You go for a tour, and the floors are clean when you're there. But the most important thing you can do when you're investigating a 3PL is get in there and have a couple of conversations with the people on the floor and
Yeah.
ask them a couple of key questions about the culture and how does the
Correct.
business support you and what do you guys do when lots of orders come in. Sometimes I'll call my family and my cousins and we'll all come in and we make it happen. We got to get it done. So my view is that the key to a strong logistics business, ultimately, that people businesses is a tight knit culture where people are really bought in to the business and to the client success and are willing to go the extra mile, especially in e-commerce, because
Mhm.
you get really lumpy distribution of orders. You might get 100 orders, 100 orders, 100 orders. Black Friday, oh my God, 3,000 orders. That's
Yeah.
really difficult. That's really difficult to manage.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I think ultimately the secret sauce in any logistics business or maybe any business, but especially in logistics, is it's all about the people and the culture and how baked into the success of their clients those humans are.
Absolutely true. Culture and, good culture, it fosters collaboration, and collaboration leads to great output.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
rightly said, rightly said. And, especially,
When you talk about,
uh-huh.
sorry to cut you off, but when you talk about great culture, like how do you do it?
Mm-hmm.
That's another conversation entirely. But there's really simple techniques. There's one story that Brad told me that I found mind blowing. Is they produced uh, these really interesting infographics, and they took a couple of key metrics, and they had these like kind of whiteboard poster things that went up in every one of their warehouses, and simply by having this little competition connected to a couple of key metrics with the core ethos just dotted around every warehouse, they got something like a 15% improvement in
Mm-hmm.
um, order order accuracy and same day delivery time. And so I just thought that was amazing. Like just simple things like visibility of the scoreboard, like what game are we playing here? How can we be engaged? Humans like to compete, they like to win, they like to be involved. And so simply by getting visibility of the score, the internal score of the business, outputs immediately improved. And so I think there's that. And then there's a raft of other items like that where you can work with people's intrinsic kind of motivations to get
Mm.
more out of them.
Correct. That is true. So you have worked with elite in-house teams for scaling brands. So what qualities or skills do you believe are essential in building a team of winners?
Well, good question. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I think the most important thing in a team of winners is okay, that's such a good question. It's difficult. Maybe not the most important thing. One of the most important things I learned through my career is that B players hate C players and A players hate B players. And so, if there's one way that you want to destroy the performance of a team, is
Mm-hmm.
to scale it rapidly and get to a point where your A players are having to drag people along the journey. So we had an agency at one point, we had about 85 team members in it. We went through a restructure, we cut it down to 45,
Mm-hmm.
and we got more, again, outputs, like quality outputs actually improved. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. Like we basically removed half the workforce and we were a better company at the end of it. And that's what taught me that lesson really intensely, is that your A players absolutely despise dragging B players along, and they won't, they might rise to the challenge here and there, but actually overall, over a long enough time period, they're actually going to revert to the mean. They're going to revert to the mean of your team. So that's one point, is like everyone being on the same page and putting the same level of input and energy in. And then to that point, I think you don't necessarily want the star player, selfish player, the like hero, because that also, again, like it feels really good individually for individual performance. But when I kept trying to build these teams full of heroes, you didn't foster that collaborative spirit, and you didn't get the consistency. And then it was really hard to build and develop, because superstars come and then they stay for a while and then they leave. They're always looking for the next thing, whatever. And so it was really difficult to build a consistent collaborative team over time when you're filling it with kind of like the selfish superstar. So I feel like it's about like high quality A players. In our business, we prize loyalty and communication above everything else, really. Like as long as you're really trying your hardest and you're really aggressively attached to the result, like, and you're willing to have direct, tough conversations consistently, and you're communicating, you're picking up the phone when you're overwhelmed and you're stressed and all you want to do is, bury your head in the work and do the thing. It's like, I need you to raise your head above the parapet, collaborate with your leadership team, delegate to your team, have the confidence to push back on me, the owner, and say, that's not possible. We're not doing that. Like, I can't, it doesn't make sense. So, yeah, that's what I would say, is like making sure that your team is full of people that know the guy next to them is pushing just as hard as they are. Like everyone's in it to the same degree, because when one or two people aren't, it will drag the performance of the overall team down. And then investing in loyal, strong, consistent performers rather than selfish superstars. And then the ability to consistently have direct, honest, my mentor used to call them robust, tough conversations, and be willing to, meet strong expectations, and take critical feedback and go, yeah, this is good. I had a conversation with my new general manager recently. One of the messages I sent him, pretty stark email about what I thought of one of the tasks he'd completed. And he came back to me and said, man, thanks for taking the time to articulate that. I'm really grateful that you've put this much energy into helping me get better. And I think that sort of growth mindset is really important for a team when they're looking at constructive critical feedback as an opportunity to grow and not getting beaten up. Then those would be my top three elements for a high performance team.
I agree with all the 3 points you made, especially instead of just highlighting a single or individual contributor, appreciating as a team, as a whole team. I think it makes a great impact on every one of the players, all of the players. So yeah, those are some good points you made, Simon. Okay. So talking about the e-commerce world, we have seen so much of ups and downs. Pre-pandemic, it was kind of a stable industry. During pandemic, got a lot of spike, but post-pandemic, it kind of has been, I feel, a quite volatile industry. So how do you think in the current scenario? You are helping brands stay ahead of trends and also maintain profitability and, more importantly, scalability, especially in the world of e-commerce.
Yeah, Cool. Great question. So the era of e-commerce that I've been involved in has
Mhm.
been pretty much dominated by social media marketing. Mostly, I would say, paid advertising, but also a significant amount of um, organic social influencer work, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Now, that got significantly more difficult probably just before the pandemic. And then the pandemic actually supported a lot of e-commerce businesses in a lot of weird ways. Advertisers stopped spending, big ones, and people were buying stuff online. We came out of that. And so today, it's not enough to go and grab a product, spin up a Shopify store, run some ads, and you're making money, right? You have to have a really genuinely robust business. So
Mhm.
I talk about three things, three strategic layers that are required to scale sustainably 2024, 2025 beyond. One is your direction. So like have you got an opportunity vehicle, your brand, that is headed in the right direction to a lifestyle business that can spin out, take home cash? Have you got an exit on the horizon? Did you plan that exit in 2016, but now the entire market shifted? Do you need to recalibrate? So if you don't have a strong direction, if you don't know exactly where you're going, then you're never going to make it. So that's actually stage one for me. And then stage two is about potential. And so this is where your business brand product logistics strategy comes into place, and you need to look at your unit economics and your brand story and the fundament and the differentiation of your product. How strong, how unique and differentiated is your offer in the market? Can people get it anywhere? Can you buy it on Temu for no money right now? Does it have some sort of limited edition capacity? Yeah, so
Mhm.
once you've got your direction understood for you as the business owner, what is this opportunity vehicle? Where is it going to? What is it going to achieve for me? Then it's about the potential in your business. I was working with a brand recently, and we're consistently acquiring these customers. We're really struggling to grow. It's a supplement brand, and
Mhm.
we didn't have something that we could sell the brand forever, like that. Sorry, the customer forever. So we weren't able to we were acquiring these customers, building a whole bunch of trust, but the product was so good. It solved the customer's problem in like 8 weeks, and they never
Oh,
needed to buy again. So the question was,
great customers.
what's the natural upsell to
Mhm.
that product now that we've got their trust that they can take forever? And we designed one, and I think it's the core lever that'll blow the business up. So previously, in the last 10 years, people got drunk on the story of Facebook ads. The efficiency of the meta advertising platform covered up a lot of your mistakes or the issues in your business. You didn't need to be that good at any of the things. You could run meta ads and yeah, like I said, it would cover those mistakes up. So the last piece is leverage. And that's around how are you building offers? How are you specifically targeting customers and designing marketing messages for those customers? And then what does your funnel look like? And so we get a lot of brands that come through our program that actually have a strong direction, have a lot of potential. They just didn't have the understanding of how to structure their offer for a specific customer within a modern funnel to give themselves the leverage. The specific metric is revenue per session. So you take your conversion rate and your average order value, what percentage of 100 people buy off you, and what amount of money they spend with you. That gives you a number, revenue per session. How many dollars do I get every time someone lands on my website on average? And so when you build a strong offer with a specific customer in a modern funnel, you get the revenue per session, which allows you to buy traffic at the new prices. So I don't know how long you've been in the game. I've been in the game for 13 years, and you used to press boost and or run an ad, and you could reach 1 million people for $100.
Yep.
And it didn't matter how good your offer was because some of them would buy some stuff, And so today, when clicks are costing you $1.50, $2, $3, if you aren't squeezing maximum revenue per session out, then
Mhm.
you won't be able to get scalability. Every time you scale your ads past $200 a day, $1,000 a day, $5,000 a day, whatever it is, you're going to hit these plateaus. And so those are kind of the three fundamental aspects. What's your direction? What's your potential? What's your leverage? And then the final piece of the puzzle is activation. And often this is where we find brands spinning their wheels. So our activation in our world is your Meta ads, your Google ads, your website optimization, your email marketing, and your reporting. And so that's kind of the core basis for most e-commerce brands, how they generate traffic and scale. And what you'll find is you'll find e-commerce brands that are onto their fourth agency going, hey, these guys have promised me they'll get the ROAS, you
Yeah.
know? But they don't actually have an activation problem. They don't have a marketing system problem. They have a brand and business problem. They don't have the leverage. They don't have the potential, or they might have the leverage and the potential, but they're going in the completely wrong direction for themselves as an owner. And so first, we must make sure that the opportunity vehicle you're in is pointed in the right direction to achieve the life outcomes you desire. Then we need to build potential into the business with strong brand, product, and logistics strategy. Then we develop leverage with specific offers for specific customers in a modern funnel. And then, only then, do you go and activate that potential with a whole bunch of creative and some Facebook ads and your email marketing and all that stuff. And you didn't have to do that in 2015. You just run the ads and you make money and you're good. It was a gold rush. But today, you need to be buttoned up. You've got to be really good. You've got to have all those layers, fundamental layers, not perfect, but really strong to compete.
Yeah.
Sorry for the long answer.
Yeah. No, that was definitely very comprehensive and, to the perfection because um, I think 10 years back or yeah, 10 years back, it was a different, situation altogether, different ball game together. It was new. There were fewer brands, but right now in
Yeah.
every category, there are brands. There's a lot of competition. So just not for the sake of running ads or, getting a million revenue, but I think a focused targeting and the number one reason or the factor is understanding or studying your customers or target customers. So what you
Mm.
said is absolutely true. And now moving on, as you mentioned about the marketing part, it plays a huge role in any business. So how do you, as you said, how do you approach balancing data-driven decisions, let's say from reports or the feedbacks, with a creative risk-taking in campaigns?
Okay. Great. Great question. It's interesting because the target customer element becomes really important there. Is what having a specific target customer gives you. By the way, two really tactical things, two tactical takeaways that people can do. Call your customers. Like for business, for in all the years until the last 20 years, like you didn't really sell anyone anything unless you talked to them or one of your staff members talked to them and you did it over the phone. And then e-commerce came in and it got really scalable and it got really easy. And so everyone stopped talking to their customers. So the best way to get to figure out who your target customer is, who to figure out how to sell really effectively to a specific set of people is to call them. So when I work with brands now, like call your first 1,000 customers, call them all. I don't care. Some of them might go, "Whoa, why are you calling me? That's weird." Oh, sorry, man. We're just a small business and we appreciate you guys so much. But if you're busy, no stress. I won't call you again. Bye. But some of them will really appreciate it. And so when you speak to a customer, you get a much richer download of data, right? Like, and it's a lot of it's qualitative, but you start to build a picture. And the reason that's really important is because, again, 10 years ago, you could kind of go and run your ad to all parents or parents and grandparents and uncles and aunties and everyone. And oh my God, it's a kid's product. And
Yeah.
now it's more like this product is for 25 to 40-year-old first time moms in Australia. Like that's the level of specificity you're getting to so that your message cuts through the market. And the best way I've found to understand who your most applicable customers or your best customers, your highest value, easiest to sell to customers, is to pick up the phone and call them. And almost no one does it. So start doing that if everyone's like, what can I do tomorrow to build like that potential and to set myself up? That's what I would actually be doing. Now, once I've got that,
Mm-hmm.
once I've got that data in place, I can then overlay that against all of the typical data that e-commerce brands are looking at. What's my click-through rate? What's my scroll stop? What's my average watch time? What's my CPA? What's my AOV and return customer rate and MER and there's all these data points. And so I love to have that quantitative kind of blended at scale data. And I want to have that really specific qualitative data from the customers themselves. And you can do it with surveys and post-purchase surveys and email surveys and all that sort of stuff. But I'm just going to say, Dan, I don't think anything substitutes a bloody good phone call with a customer. So once you've got all that data and you're looking at it all, there's a there's a there's a balance between the science and the art. And what the data is doing for you, in my view, is constraining your attention. So you still need to be creative, but use the data to help you understand where to be creative. Because when you're like, and so let me give you an example. We will use data like scroll stop, average watch time, click through rate, conversion rate to understand what component of the ad isn't working. So if I've got an ad and it's not stopping the scroll, it's not getting a 3-second watch, I'm going, okay, this ad can't arrest attention effectively. I need to improve the visual hook. I need to improve the audio hook. Like, what am I saying during that point? We had this hook recently. It's going to be hard to translate, but it's getting a 50% scroll stop for this customer. And it's basically her for the first 3 seconds taking this massive gasp on her face. She's like, this is ridiculous. And she's looking at something off the screen you can't see. And so it's driving this massive amount of curiosity, and we're getting people's attention, ironically, by not showing them the thing, right? And so that's cool. Then you have hold rate. What percentage of people that stop the scroll are watching more than 10 seconds of the video? Are we getting people's attention held throughout the video? And so if that's low, we're going, okay, is there a narrative story that's holding people's attention? Are there visual elements within the video that are interesting or intriguing? Are we holding some level of curiosity? Are the cuts strong enough? Are we using too many words to deliver the message? You know, what can we do to increase attention throughout the video? Because if we can't stop the scroll, we can't hold their attention. And if we can't hold their attention, we can't deliver our conversion message. And so that's the final piece, is maybe we're stopping the scroll and we're getting watch time, but we're not getting any click-through rate, or we're not getting any conversion. That tells me we're not making a compelling enough offer. We haven't hit some emotional triggers. We haven't agitated the pain strongly enough. We haven't presented a logical solution. We haven't covered downside with risk reversals. We haven't got a strong enough call to action. There's no offer, etc. And so at each one of those points, like scroll stop's low, average watch time's low, click-through rate conversion's low, all the data's telling you is what to focus on. You've still got to go, what do I do here? How do I make this work? And so that's where the creative piece comes in, is now you know where to focus and be creative, so you can constrain your creativity to making that 3-second hook brilliant. Because if your hold rate's good and your click-through rate's good and you're getting conversions, but your scroll stop's 10%, we can triple the effectiveness of the ad by changing the first 3 seconds. And so that's where I think the data and the scientific data analysis interplays with creative. It guides you and shows you where to focus. And then today, more often than not, there is so much information. There are so many ads being run. There's so much stuff being tested that you often don't need to necessarily reinvent the wheel. So what we encourage a lot of our brands to do is don't rely on your own creativity all the time. Rely on the creativity of your system. So how many swipe files do you have? What are you a part of a group where everyone shares their best performing ads? Have you got your favorite ad libraries from top performing brands that you know are crushing it? Can you get and so that way, you're not necessarily going, how do I come up with the best hook? You're going, how do I recut that hook from this brand that I know has smashed it for my particular instance? And so again, you're reducing the create you're focusing your creativity even further by using data to identify which element of the video to fix, and then you're using your system to and someone else's data on what performed really well for them. And so you're not even having to come up with the style of hook to utilize. You're having to be creative and figure out how to make that hook your own and work for you because it's already been proven. So we're always looking for high probability bets. There's actually this guy, Jay Wright, super smart guy. That's where I heard the term first. High probability bets. I like that. So you're using the data to constrain your creativity within higher probability actions.
Hmm. Wow. Wow. That is so helpful. That is so helpful. So before we wrap up, Simon, for entrepreneurs dealing with setbacks or debt, what practical steps can they take to regain confidence and rebuild their businesses?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I did. I quit everything. I quit life. So for 18 months or so, maybe 2 years, within an 18-month period, I went to one wedding, my cousin's wedding, and that was the only event I went to. And I didn't have sex for over a year. I completely removed myself from social scene, event scene, and all I did was aggressively focus on building the business. Now, obviously, that's not going to be applicable for everyone. You know, some people have got families and you can't just go and delete everything and focus to that degree.
Right.
But for me, it was reducing as many variables as I could possibly reduce, which was kind of all of them. I was lucky enough. Again, my parents let me come home and live with them rent free. I moved back into my old room and I just started again. I did no social stuff, no romantic stuff. I lived on $500 a month because I had all this credit card debt and all this interest and da da da. And I just worked every hour of every day, or I was meditating and running and doing ayahuasca ceremonies and doing everything I possibly could to support my work. And I was still in quite a really stressed mental state. So I was watching a lot of TV and a lot of YouTube and having anxiety and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, reduce the variables, reduce expenses, and then focus aggressively on the business that would get me the outcome I needed. And for me at that point, it was e-commerce consultancy and agency work. And so that's what I did. And it was all that mattered until we built it. And then and the game, like probably the game changer was I met Brad and I was out there in the world telling everyone my story. And I think a lot of people are scared and that they maybe are, and fair enough. And they're like, I was embarrassed and hide for, but I was kind of like, who cares? Like, it is what it is. And I would tell everyone authentically, like, yeah, so I just fucked my life up and kind of like trying to get sober and trying to be with this, and I'm doing this thing and I'm going to build this back and I want to do it for my parents and blah, blah, blah. And then I think I know that is what Brad took a lot of interest in. And then he, went out of his way to become my mentor. And so having that accountability and direction and investment and support from a individual who had already made it and had gotten there was one of the key difference makers. And then the willingness for me to eliminate and sell a couple of years of my life down the river to get to where I want to go, sacrificing the short term for the long term, those would be my two practical tips. It's what worked for me. The willingness to eliminate everything that wasn't conducive to the goal and securing a mentor.
Wow. Wow. Really, really great takeaways from this conversation. Some golden nuggets you gave for all of us, Simon, to
Hopefully.
think about. Yeah, definitely for me at least, I can say that, especially the
Cool.
concluding part. So, if our listeners they want to explore Simon more about your journey, the lessons you learned as an entrepreneur, and also more about the Magnitude Group and the work it is doing in the world of e-commerce, how they can do that.
Yeah, just Simon John Phillips on Instagram and YouTube and Twitter. And they should be able to find me reasonably easy. There's a famous drummer, Simon John Phillips. So
Yes.
I'm a little bit harder to find, but if you look hard enough, you'll find me. Instagram, TikTok, all those places. And yeah, love to chat, love to connect.
Lovely. We'll have all the details mentioned in the show notes. And
Cool.
Simon, what an incredible conversation it was. Your journey from millionaire to rock bottom and then back again. It's a testament to the power of resilience, perseverance, adaptability, and also importance of surrounding yourself with right people. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for this great conversation.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me on. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
Listeners, if there's one takeaway from today's episode, which I can share with you, is it's that setbacks are just setups for comebacks. If you are willing to learn, pivot, and keep pushing forward, Simon's insights on scaling business, building winning teams, and also navigating the complexities of e commerce are invaluable for any entrepreneur or business leader looking to level up. So, thank you to all of you for tuning into BizBlend. If you love today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. It really helps us grow. And don't forget to check out the show notes if you wish to explore more about Simon's journey or his work and expertise. Until next time, keep blending bold ideas with smart strategies. And remember, success is all about the journey, not just the destination. See you next time. Thank you.